Last Pint Productions presents the New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content, and new episodes are released most Wednesdays. So back off, man. We're professionals. Listener discretion is advised.
So you were in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah?
Were you in the shit?
Yeah, I was in shit.
Last night, Darth Vader came down from planet Vulcan and told me that if I didn't take Lorraine out, that he'd melt my brain.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me. I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hello and welcome to the New Way podcast. We break down pop culture so you don't have to. I am your host, Matt Schenk, and I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. There's no Ben tonight. There's no Nick tonight. And neither of them knows we're recording this. So they are listening to this right now on a Wednesday at noon going, where the fuck did this episode come from? And surprise, boys, this one is just Maddie and a couple of friends giving you guys a little time off. I have not one, but two guest hosts replacing Ben and Nick. One of them is an old pro with our podcast. They've been around. They people love them. They love their mic etiquette, except for Nick. Love their mic etiquette. I would like to welcome back the enchanting Miss JB Wing.
Woo! Hello, Matthew.
Hello. It's so nice to have you back.
Can I now talk about my bone to pick with Nick?
Well, let's wait. Let's introduce our other guests and then hold on to that.
As if that's important.
Well, here's the main thing is that Nick will not listen past that, but he'll have to wait for it. So he might actually get through the whole episode if we keep teasing it. So it'll be so great. It'll be the last thing you say.
Amazing.
Then click off
Amazing.
right as soon as she's done.
It's got to actually be somewhere around the 3/4 mark. So he really has to there's no way for him to just happen upon it.
Oh yeah,
like
we need
that.
to mix it in. We need to jam it in like noodles.
The other amazing voice you're hearing right now is a gentleman that is often imitated and never duplicated. This is Mr. Patrick Price. And I would say this is his first time on the New Way, but I say that with an asterisk because that's not exactly true, Patrick.
That's not. No, I was here before for a private engagement. It was a private podcast.
Oh, no. I'm not even talking about that. So to introduce our audience to Patrick was yet another cast member from Guys and Dolls.
Oh, yeah.
Which you guys heard some of our show. We'll play it again for you.
Dolls. We're just a bunch of crazy guys and dolls. Oh, yeah, guys and dolls.
And people loved it, especially Elizabeth. This is good. So it was great. But I met Patrick quite a long time before Guys and Dolls. I believe the first time I met you was when you were doing Bachelorette at the Lake Worth Playhouse, which was my first Lake Worth Playhouse show that I saw.
That was 2017.
Correct.
Which is, how many years is that? 6 years ago. That was my second show at the Playhouse, actually. That was my first black box show there. And one of my favorite experiences of that show was that I got to smoke catnip.
I shit you not, that is on my notes here with a question mark saying, I'm pretty sure Patrick smoked catnip in
a lot
this
of
show.
it. I smoked a lot.
Does
of catnip.
that F you up like
Not at all.
marijuana? It doesn't.
Nope, not even
Okay.
slight. You don't even. You get more of a buzz off smoking tobacco than you do smoking catnip.
Got it.
It's kind of like if you took the distilled essence of an armpit that was working outside and then rolled it in grass and then shoved that in your mouth via smoke.
Is the smoking of whatever material catnip is abjectly better for you than just tobacco?
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about like cigarette tobacco, because most of that's going to be laced with shitloads of chemicals. If you're growing your own tobacco, it's roughly, you shouldn't smoke things. We're not supposed to inhale carcinogens.
I would think you could just get some get your own fresh tobacco without the additives of like a cigarette and roll your. I mean, you're rolling. It's not like you bought catnip cigarettes.
But the difference
But
is
Matt,
that
look at how fucking cool cats are.
yeah, cats. First off, Have you ever seen a cat?
I mean,
They're so aloof. You really have to earn their love. And as someone with separation anxiety, I appreciate that about them. But no, the reason was because catnip in a bag looks a lot like shitty marijuana, whereas tobacco looks like tobacco. And also, there's less of a smell. Like catnip smell while burning just smells like, oh, someone burned some plants, and then it's gone.
It smelled awful. As an audience member in that show, it smelled very terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't
And I got
good
none
weed.
of the benefits of catnip out of it,
Wasn't
which I
good
thought
weed.
would be at least fun. But yeah, so I saw you in that. You were with our good friend Nancy, who's going to be a future guest of the podcast.
She's
as
an
well.
excellent
amazing
actress.
actress.
She's a phenomenally good actress, but that was my kind of introduction to the Playhouse, and then I went to see several other productions with Patrick, and then I kind of puppy dogged along with the cool actor kids well before I got the nerve up to get on stage again myself. But in the meantime, Patrick and I actually kind of worked together on a couple of things.
We sure did.
So while this is the first time for him being on the New Way podcast, we did appear together on another podcast. Do you recall this?
Oh, I sure do. It's actually saved in a notes file on my phone under my reels because in my mind I'm an actor, like a real one.
Yeah.
I'm not. And amidst a thing of me losing a Facebook bet and a couple of commercials for truly bad board games are two episodes, one of which is Golden Girls. And I, of course, am Blanche because I'm Southern and slutty.
Oh, that's was like, why haven't I heard about this? But I have heard about it.
As someone who is both Southern and slutty, Blanche and I.
Perfect.
And then the other one was Arrested Development, and I was Job.
But sir, there's another.
That's what I am.
Do you remember Lonely Screen Delicatessen?
No.
So Patrick, in the early times of COVID lockdown, roped me into a podcast with several other burly men to talk about eating gross amounts of food together. These were three friends of Patrick's. One was a boxer, I want to say. One was a stand-up comedian.
Patrick is having no recognition of
And
this.
If this was revealed to be fake or real, either are 100% likely in my
So
head.
I literally was told, it was just a bunch of very overweight gentlemen, myself included, to talk about food. And I told a story toward the end of it, and I started using the soundboard because like the episode had gone on 2 hours. It was going on a lot. And I was like, I'm going to just bring this down. And I told a story that we call The Perfect Fart. Our listeners, Mark and Casey, were present for this. We went to Tallahassee for a Miami FSU game. We were taken out to this ridiculous steakhouse for dinner by these very wealthy attorneys' parents of my friend and his best friend. And they fed us full of steak and a lot of scotch. And then all four of us went into a hotel room afterwards. And I'm going to play some of the podcast and we can recount the story. Plus, we're staying in a hotel room. Myself and my three buddies. We're all just completely full. We get back to the room. Like, someone's, like, lounging on the floor. A couple of us are lounging in the beds. Like, everyone's just hurting. And everyone's trying to hold it in. And sure enough, like, one person just finally, like, can't and, got a little bit, it's out. And,
Breaks the seal.
And someone's like, oh, well, if he's gonna, then they kind of break out. And then another one. So we all just, it's like we got our periods, like, got in sync.
Oh my
We
God.
all just start, like, call and response. Like, over there, and then over here, and then we got over that. Like, and it gets,
I remember
the
this
room becomes hot. So that's how I pepped up that other podcast.
Matt, you sound 4 sheets to the wind.
I'm not. I honestly,
He
I
wasn't.
am not.
He wasn't.
Oh my God.
That podcast. It didn't feel like 2 hours. It felt like 4.5. We were there forever, and now I remember that was Andrew and his wormy friend, who I don't recall the name of.
That sounds about right. I had to watch some of this earlier today and to get the sound clip, and I was like, oh my God, this was a lot. But yes, that was the first thing that we technically appeared on. But then, as you mentioned, we did a live reading of the Golden Girls along with Trish and Nancy and your improv partner, Griffin is on there. I have a little clip of that as well.
Don't need to, Ma. Gin.
You're taking advantage. You know I'm whacked out on blood pressure medicine.
Honey, if the medicine bothers you, change the prescription.
I like being whacked out.
Oh my God.
Blanche enters.
Olga did our stage
so
directions.
Glad you're here. My date's brother just came into town, and unless I can find a date for him so we can double, the whole evening's going to be called off. So what do you say? Would you please be a friend and go out with him?
Sophia starts to stand up.
Sure, I'm game.
Blanche gently pushes Sophia back into her seat.
Next time, Sophia. Dorothy, what do you say?
Oh, honey, I'd really love to go, but
God, Nancy's
as
so
you can
good at
see,
that.
I'm busy.
Busy? You're playing cards.
We are not playing cards. We are playing gin rummy.
And she stinks at it. I've been doing it for 30 years. She hasn't beaten me once.
Tonight's going to be different. Tonight, the 30 years of humiliation ends.
Oh, I'm so scared. My dentures are chattering.
What? Why did you guys do that?
I was bored during COVID and I wanted to act.
Oh, okay.
It was fun. I had a great time.
No, I'm not dissing it.
I can actually show you. We also did video of all of this, so this exists. I wore a little old lady
funny.
wig and did that, and then our most ambitious one, Patrick played Job in Arrested Development, which I have a little clip of that as well. And you can see all of these on the Last Pint Productions YouTube channel.
Nice.
If you'd like to go watch some of them.
Plus, we're staying in a hotel room.
Oh, wrong one. Nope, not gonna play the fights again. Sorry.
Some say wealth is an illusion. Well, let's just see. For one moment it's here, and then the next.
Job removes the coat, revealing the game Monopoly.
Monopoly! You don't have it, do you?
Yeah, I think I might.
That's good. Because a lot of the pieces are missing. To play the game Monopoly with my family again. I'd give anything to be 8.
I'm 13.
No, I wasn't crazy about 13. The acne, self-consciousness, erections.
So good. So, and I had quite a bit of fun watching little clips of that one as well. But
that one was good.
And Beth reading stage directions, and I always forget how wonderful a reading voice that Beth has on there. But so yes, Patrick and I, we did all of these things together well before we ever got on stage for 18 and a half years to prepare Guys and Dolls.
This history. That's
Yeah?
super cool. I did not know that.
So Patrick is joining us today, and before we dig even more into the episode, I do want to hear, JB, what is your beef with Nick? Let's get to this. Let's put it out there.
Here's the thing. I need you to get your emotional shit together and understand that everything I said about Betty Buckley was alleged. I did say allegedly she's a stupid bitch.
Nick.
Yeah, I did say allegedly she's litigious. I did say...
Litigious.
I did call her a stupid bitch. I did, but I said allegedly.
But was she acting like a stupid bitch?
Absolutely allegedly.
Then what?
Absolutely.
Then what's Nick's alleged stupid bitch problem?
No, because Nick, grew up watching her and
Nick's first heroes were the cats from Cats, and so when
that's where he first went wrong.
So I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, so I can't remember, but he used to have an autograph book, and his mom took him backstage at a production of Cats, and he got it signed by all of the cats. So he has like a signature from Mr. Mistopheles and Rum Tum Tugger.
No, see, that's where Nick and I need to talk, because that's not good. Can I tell you an urban legend?
It's not right.
Yes.
An urban legend that exists about cats. Okay. Supposedly, this is urban legend.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Those cats are
Allegedly,
litigious.
some orchestra conductor of some Broadway show was waiting for the show to start and heard these two old women in the front row talking about cats. And one of the women says to the other, "Have you ever seen Cats?" And the other says, "No. What's it about?" And the first one says, "Well, there's all these cats. They're very happy. They sing very well. They dance even better. there's this one cat. She's sick. The other one says, what's she sick from? I don't know, some terrible disease.
Cat sickness.
Anyway, they put her on a tire and blow her out through the roof. It's fabulous.
Wait. It's not an urban legend about cats. That's just a weird anecdote.
It's an urban legend that these two old ladies were sitting behind the guy because the story has been told over and over so many times that no one knows if it's actually true. It's like Carol Channing and Korn. You've heard about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the Carol Channing and Korn.
Oh, so supposedly Carol Channing, she was doing Hello Dolly on Broadway, and they couldn't find her for places, and so they were looking for her, and supposedly, allegedly, urban legend, the stage manager went into the bathroom and heard Carol, who was well into her 80s at this point, saying, "Corn? I didn't eat any corn today. Why am I seeing corn?"
Carol Channing taking dumps, everyone.
So what's funny is Carol then ended up being a spokesperson for gastrointestinal charities
for American corn growers.
Yeah, and so the corn urban legend only grew from there because she actually must have had some kind of issue.
It's a shame that my dad was busy doing corn nuts commercials in the 80s. They probably could have used her better than they used him for the corn nuts.
Yeah, there's cool Broadway urban legends like that. Like the Cats thing is urban legend. The Carol Channing corn thing is urban legend. There's also...
I'm going to make you tell one that you just told the other day because I do want to tell the story that led into this one. So, another kind of somewhat inside baseball story of a few of our friends, but I think this is universally funny.
But the opposite of athletics and baseball.
Yes. I was hanging out with JB and some other people from our show. Two of our friends, Chris and Marcy. Hi, Chris and Marcy, if you're listening. And so I was telling them. JB was telling us about this Meep Geese TV series that's on right now, which was the woman that helped the Franks in Diary of Anne Frank.
And Frank and her family hide. Yep.
And so I was saying, that was when I was in college. The first collegiate production I did was Diary of Anne Frank. And then we were leaving, and I'm heading out. It gets funnier. So I'm so good. I'm heading out with Chris and Marcy, and we're walking to our car, and this thing pops into my head, and I go, "It's been real, it's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun." And then I go, "That was a line I had, my last line in this show, my first high school show." So I go, "Oh, that was a line I had in my first play." And Chris goes, "Diary of Anne Frank?" And Marcy and I just lost it. I was like, "No, Chris. No, the last line of Diary of Anne Frank is not."
Shout out to Chris, an actual baby.
But I'm like, I got home and I just immediately sent them that quote, and then below it just said, Anne Frank, 1945. It's been real. It's been fun. It hasn't been real fun.
That's just how it happens.
And then
the Nazis burst in.
Anne Frank was a real caustic.
She was a cut up.
She was a caustic bitch,
She had a real...
Allegedly.
She had a sense of humor a mile wide.
Yeah, that play, they always say it's despite everything, I still believe there's good in everyone. That's not what she said. She said it's been real. It's been fun. It hasn't been real fun.
And then blam, the Nazis shoot her in the head.
But speaking of Broadway...
She stubbed out her cigarette and left.
Speaking of Broadway urban legend...
Yes.
Again, there's no proof that this actually happened. That's why they call it Broadway urban legend. So Pia Zadora, don't sue me. But apparently, back in whenever, she was playing Anne Frank on Broadway in the Diary of Anne Frank. And she was apparently so horrible in the play that at the end, when the Nazis came
I have
in,
heard this.
The audience yelled, "She's in the attic!"
Oh, it's so good. I also love that we're really keeping the new way hip for the kids with all these stories about Pia Zadora and Carol Channing.
Kids are tuning in for stories of Broadway yesteryear.
I didn't eat any corn
Hey
today.
kids, Google Carol Channing and then find out why all of us was funny.
Betty Buckley was fucking Carol Channing while Pia Zadora watched? Allegedly? Tell me more.
And when the Nazis came in, the audience was like, "They're in the attic!"
And then everyone came out.
Fan-fucking-tastic. So we are going to now seg into our topic of the episode, unless Ryan get mad at us again by not reading the title of the episode that says what it's about, we are doing a sequel to one of our other episodes where we're going to revisit guilty pleasures.
Ooh, baby.
And these are, as we've discussed, we have no shame. This is episode 208 of this podcast. I've discussed every single thing I have ever watched or masturbated to at this point in history.
Man,
I have no
I don't have
shame.
the time for that.
I have. Well, Patrick's got a list. We'll put that up on a Google Doc afterwards. But
about 500 pages.
I don't really have any shame, but we kind of want to just talk about things that we feel maybe we should have shame for enjoying, or that people might think we might be embarrassed
Others
to
tries
talk
to
about.
shame us
Yes.
with their own emotional misgivings.
It's interesting because Matt's apartment where we're doing this is surrounded with what he should feel shame.
Don't you dare denigrate this temple with the word apartment. This is a house.
Oh, a house. I'm sorry. It's not an
Yes.
apartment.
Yes.
At all. But it's filled with shame. I will say that.
And it also was. I also
Filled
did
with
hear
joy.
voices in here last night, but I'm pretty sure it was due to the power outage that happened in the afternoon. But I definitely heard something say either here or Peter twice last
not
night in the
good.
living room, and it's not. Neither of those are good things to hear
No.
when
I
you
mean,
live alone.
here by yourself is terrifying because that's like a thing. Peter is just confusing.
Peter
It's just
Peter
a-
is my dad, so that could be good.
That's just a ghost who's lost. Peter?
My ghosts are just like telemarketers that don't know my actual name, like Mr. Skank. And I'm like, no, ghost, it's Shank. Thanks, but I appreciate it.
Peter! I'm not Peter. Sorry!
There used to be a Burger King commercial when Burger King started having pita sandwiches, and they would go, "Pita? He's a nice guy." And my dad loved that commercial because his name was Pita.
I will say I do. I will lead with a guilty pleasure I have. I'm a guilty commercial enjoyer. I like a lot of silly, dumb commercials, and a lot of them will make it into my lexicon. Like there was a phone commercial years ago for this guy that it's a 2-for-1 sale at Verizon or something, and so he buys his wife a phone for Mother's Day, and then it just so happens that there's an extra phone for him, and she's like, "Where'd the other phone come from?" He goes, "I don't know. It's a Mother's Day miracle," and I don't know. I quote, "It's a Mother's Day miracle" as like an answer to whenever when people are like, "How did that happen?" Like, no, it's a Mother's Day miracle. I don't know.
That's actually
I do
funny.
that quite a bit of commercials that just make me giggle.
What with, you usually hear it's a Christmas miracle or it's a holiday.
Yes.
And you're saying it's so that's where it's kind of
He also just
ironic.
loses steam as he's trying to convince. It's mostly his delivery. He's like, "It's a Mother's Day miracle." And I'm just like, this guy earned his money.
Do you want to hear a weird anecdote related to Mother's Day as a holiday?
Absolutely.
Okay, so in my day-to-day life, I work in an IT office, and I had a client today email me saying, "Hey, I want you to remove all these holidays from my calendar that I don't care to see." Like June 1st, beginning of Pride Month, National LGBTQ Day, Juneteenth, just a conservative scratch list.
Boy.
And I was like, sure, we can do that. So what I did is I removed everything except like Christmas and Thanksgiving. So she doesn't get July 4th. She doesn't get Memorial Day. She doesn't get Veterans Day. She doesn't get the NRA holidays that she probably has loaded on her calendar. She now has Christmas and Thanksgiving. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. That's the only way I can do it, unfortunately. Just a
Yeah.
weird set of computers are crazy. If an IT person at your company ever tells you, we can't do it, he lied.
Yeah.
He lied. He doesn't want to do it. And he's just trying to avoid the work.
Just this concept of I can't even see a holiday of this thing I don't apparently agree with is just the amount of thought that they have to exert on these things that they hate is just always amusing and terrifying to me.
It's so, who gives a shit? Honestly, it's a calendar. You only anyway, I'm not going to digress because I don't want to turn this into a political rant.
Nick's ears are perking up. He's ready. He's waiting for this.
That's right, baby.
I feel as though you should have included Juneteenth. I'm just going to say. It should have been Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Juneteenth.
It should have been Black History Month, Pride Day, and Juneteenth, and nothing else.
See, this is more subtle because she won't know until she goes to look. And she's like super patriotic. So when she misses a patriotic holiday, oh, baby. Yes,
She put just
Lord.
all British things like Boxing Day, just like for every other
Actually,
day.
I might go add Boxing Day.
I love it. So Patrick, you're the newest guest on the New Way, and I know you have a lot of very eclectic tastes. So let's hear some of your guilty pleasures.
So as Maddie mentioned earlier, and as JB and I and Maddie have all discussed, none of us have like guilty pleasure in that, like, oh, I'm too bashful to mention it. We'll out loud say all the stupid shit we're into.
All of us.
Every single one. But I will say that the people then give me a look like they're guilty about it because they're too ashamed or have too much love and mental cohesion so they can still feel shame.
We don't have mental cohesion.
No, it's all broken bits up here.
Mental confusion.
It's a broken bottle full of other broken bottles. Wrap your head around that. So I guess
can't. I'm too dumb.
Me too. My first one, I was just trying to sound cool. That's why I used a metaphor. I guess my first one would be any, and I mean any, reality cooking show. I've watched, and when I say any, yes, I have watched Halloween baking, Christmas baking, spring baking, and summer baking. What's summer baking, you might ask? Who the fuck knows? But they have to get those 3 people from the Halloween competition work the rest of the year, and they're like, we're going to make a lemon cake shaped like a beach ball. I'm like, yes, that classic summer treat, summer cake. Who hasn't had that?
I do love that you're leading with this because literally the only reality TV show I've ever watched regularly in any capacity, and I watched probably 10 seasons of it before I finally threw in the towel, was Hell's Kitchen. Just because I loved the concept of someone in a position of power throwing an egg at another person and calling them a donkey, and that's like part of the show. Like, this is not behavior we're hiding.
Billionaire has a show that's popular because he can't control himself emotionally, and we're all like, oh my God, that South Jersey line cook who's never left their town doesn't know how to make a tagine.
Yell at them more.
I can't wait to see his reaction.
But here's the thing I have to say about Patrick. A lot of people that don't know him well, like you and I do, Matt, this is someone who will laugh for 6 days, consecutive days about a fart joke.
100%.
But it is really freaking intellectual. And it makes sense to me that he's into cooking shows because cooking is like a scientific, there's physics involved, there's science involved.
Yeah. I mean, Alton Brown's a hero.
And like I get this guilty pleasure of Patrick's because behind all the fart and poopy jokes, there's a really, really smart man.
I'm glad that I came here to get complimented.
And JB just knows I watch it because I'm dumb.
No, because you're a loser.
Yeah,
totally.
I'm a dumb loser. I get it. It's good. And I just
like,
responded.
See, I love a podcast that focuses on my praise kink and Matt's degrading kink. Isn't that right, you little dick bitch?
I mean, why do you think I like Hell's Kitchen? It's some British guy yelling at other people. I'm like, yes, Daddy.
Telling you what a disappointment.
Call me a donkey again, please.
So,
I need this.
I want to talk about one right now that is a new one, and it's so disgusting. I love it. It's on Netflix. It's called Pressure Cooker. Now, the trick here is
so lame.
You get a bunch of super hip modern chefs. Like, one of them's non-binary. There's a handful of lesbians. Then you have like 3 super intensely white guys. And they're like, one of them is aggressively, annoyingly white. And he like, the first thing he did was like critique everyone's existence at any of his little interviews. And they get they're a printout tells them what they all have to cook. But they are the judges as well as the competitors. So they all vote for the best dish and they can't vote for themselves. And then they critique the person live at the dinner table while they're eating the food that he just cooked alongside all of them. It's a wretched toying of human emotion. It's taking all the Survivor Big Brother horse shit and being like, now make Eggs Benedict. And then have a fucking bitchy argument. And then they go sleep in those reality show beds where grown adults sleep like 4 feet from each other in like twins with artwork on the walls from a Chili's. And when they wake up and they're all like, can you believe what he said about my corn muffins? First off, let me tell you something about that simple bitch. And I'm like, yes, tell me about it. Give me all of your hatred.
And they're like covered in IKEA bedding.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Yes.
Everything is, there's florgs and schnurbens and fligdarks on every single surface. And then the kitchen is this seamless marble countertop space where people just cat talk from one side to the other. Oh, it's
I always
wretched.
think with those reality cooking shows, like off camera when they wake up in the morning and one of them's like, I'll make eggs this morning. I mean, with the pressure.
Right?
Right?
Right.
Like,
You have to make eggs for everybody.
Better lay themselves right in front of me. You know what I'm saying?
This bacon better be crackling like ice shattering on a lake. Like, just.
I did always love in Hell's Kitchen that it was very clearly all like, you know, restaurant people. So they were all covered in tattoos and do-rags and smoked like I never saw them
chain
eat.
smoked. Yeah.
They almost never ate actual food. They just like ate pure nicotine bricks in the morning. Like that was their special.
And there would always be one relationship drama in there.
Yeah.
Like the fucking guy with the neck tat.
Even on Hell's Kitchen, they did relationships.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like a guy from like fucking Connecticut with a neck tat that says bad decisions is gonna like hook up with some single mom from Texas, and they're gonna have 2 episodes of them hooking up in the room, and they'll do that cheesy camera pull away where it goes like bow wow wow, acknowledging that they're gonna have sex, and then an episode after that they're in a competition against each other.
Oh no. What will happen next on a best episode of Hell's Kitchen?
And they do that.
Flames.
They do that thing where they take clips of the show and they frame it in a way where you're like, oh my god, they're gonna have a massive fight, and then a paramedic shows up, and it's just a regular argument like in every single fucking episode. And then some fat guy's like, I can't breathe, and then a guy gives him water, and he's like, I'm fine now.
I was just having an anxiety attack.
It's funny that one of our friends actually out in LA is a producer on Hell's Kitchen, but I always laugh that there's approximately 4.5 minutes of content in any given Hell's Kitchen episode, and it is literally the last 4 minutes of before the commercial break and the first 4 minutes back are the exact same thing.
Yep.
And it's just like, we're going to show you this thing from 7 angles, and then we're going to come back and be like, so let's take a look at those 7 angles again, and blah, blah, blah. And like, I used to get good at fast forwarding. I could get through an episode of Hell's Kitchen and miss nothing in about 18 minutes.
Sure.
It was great.
I mean, you're skipping 20 minutes of him screaming fucking raw about everything.
Raw.
You literally can do that with most reality TV shows. When I worked overnights in a law firm for over 20 years, and I would get home at 6 a.m. and want to because I'm obsessed with reality TV, I'd want to update myself on all the reality shows. And if you fast forward through the BS parts, you can get through almost anything in 18 minutes or less.
If you're just trying to find the meat, it's there.
Yeah.
Well, it is somewhat funny to me also that several of the listeners of this podcast play it at 1.5 speed. Or I'm sorry, double speed.
That makes sense.
So they can get through it faster.
Yeah.
So I think one of them heard us at normal speed once. I'm like, what's fucking wrong with these people? Now we sound like what's wrong with us right now. It's pretty great. All right, JB, let's hear some guilty pleasures.
Well, definitely a guilty pleasure is reality TV. There's no question. I have no shame about.
She's a queen of it.
The entire Real Housewives franchise.
Oh, no, really?
Fucking love that.
I can't.
And what branched out from the Real Housewives was a very tiny little gem, tiny little diamond in a room of diamonds called Vanderpump Rules.
Yes.
You guys, this show is Henry V by the great William Shakespeare. This show is
Henry V.
This show is King Lear. Do you understand what I'm saying? This show gives you everything, especially this year. And don't pretend, listeners, that you haven't heard about the drama this year.
Of course.
Because it's called Scandival, which rhymes with scandal.
I watched that documentary on Hulu.
And the guy's name is Sandoval. Yeah, okay. This guy was with a woman for 9 years and was sleeping with her best friend for 7 months, and it was reality. It was really happening.
Yeah, we like this.
It was amazing. Vanderpump Rules, I gotta say, is one of my bigger guilty pleasures. Not to be outsized by the great cinematic piece For Pete's Sake, starring Barbara Streisand In the, I think early 70s.
Oh, God.
A great piece of cinematic history that I like to watch whenever I'm feeling real sad or stressed out. I'll just put it on late at night. And it's so wrong. It's so racist. It's so...
Wait, what? What is it?
For
Why
Pete's
is it
sake,
racist?
Did you just ask me what is for Pete's sake?
Yes.
I mean, my God.
I
mean, for
also,
Pete's sake.
I have never seen a Housewives or a Vanderpump or any of those. Not a single one.
I'm sorry. You're really
Not a
missing
moment
out.
I'm
of
sorry,
them.
Matt. I'm sorry.
But I am now very curious about this racist 1970s Barbra Streisand piece that somehow was tangentially related to them.
No, it's not. It's not tangentially related to them at all. It's just my other guilty pleasure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say what I'm guiltier about is For Pete's Sake than Vanderpump Rules. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Do you want to hear about For Pete's Sake?
I do.
I mean, I would like some context.
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Here's the thing. Okay. She was under
Everyone sit down.
she was under contract. No, I'm just kidding. I think she thought at the time it was really funny, but it was it's something that real just hardcore Barbra Streisand fans are into because it was just real bad. And
Where my BSers at?
yeah. So basically, Barbra Streisand plays a it's a hard on times as far as money goes with she and her
Plays a hard on?
her white boyfriend Pete. They're having a hard time with finances and getting by and all that stuff. Estelle Parsons is in this movie.
Oh, I know who that is, actually.
Yeah,
I see we're still giving stuff for the kids. That's
Yes.
right,
You know what I'm
kids. An Estelle Parsons reference.
all the kids are like, "Oh, got
Oh,
it."
shit. Now I'm
Fuck, this shit's getting lit. Tell me more.
And
Based.
Barbra Streisand and her boyfriend,
No
her
cap.
husband, are
On God.
so poor. They're struggling so much financially that they have a cleaning lady who's a black woman with a big afro, and they and they keep being visited by their super, who's a black man. And every time these black characters are on the screen, Barbra Streisand changes into a southern accent while she's talking to them.
Oh, I imagine it's flawless.
JB. I mean, I should have known when you started with Barbra Streisand and her white husband as his main descriptor, but this is, oh God, this
It's
is
so
bad.
wrong. It's so wrong. Like at one point, the cleaning lady, who Barbara can't afford groceries in this movie, but she has a cleaning lady, and the cleaning lady says something about Barbra Streisand's lily white ass, and they have a big thing about Barbara's lily white ass, and Barbara tries to be street and come back at her about it's just, there's a moment in the movie where this beautiful black woman is just getting a coffee cup from the cupboard and is pouring herself a cup of coffee before she starts to clean, and it's so black exploitative, this scene of her just going for the cup of coffee and pouring the coffee, it's so
Does the music switch? Does it switch?
Yeah, the music, the yeah. And it's that movie Car Wash all of a sudden, but only for a second. Only while
Jesus Christ,
it's
JB,
so wrong.
this is a lot.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm not proud of I'm not proud of the racism. I'm proud of any Barbara fan who knows what I mean. That's what I'm proud of.
First of all, for someone who came to this house tonight and said, "I have no guilty pleasures,"
That's the guiltiest
that is
pleasure
the
I've ever heard of
fucking
in my
most
life.
horrible
That's
thing
pretty
I've
bad.
ever heard in
That's
my
pretty
entire
bad.
life.
That's the equivalent of being like, I don't have a lot of strong political beliefs. I mean, I'm a Nazi, but I don't really have anything else aside from that.
Please let me be clear. I am not
She's
proud
not a racist.
of the racism.
Nor is she a Nazi.
Betty Buckley likes the racist part.
Betty Buckley loves it.
I'm
Estelle Parson loves it.
I'll be honest, I'm somewhat relieved because I did want to talk about Song in the South because I really just think the music is so underrated and
Get it in there.
and I don't
Really
want to feel
deep
guilty
dive.
about it anymore.
I don't know what that is.
She's not a Disney
no.
kid.
It's a horribly racist Disney cartoon that has been scrubbed from almost all of
Have you
their
ever heard
things.
someone go zippity doo
Yeah.
dah zip it? That's
That's
song.
from that.
It was a house slave walking
Uncle
down
Remus.
the
I
animated
do.
Uncle
road.
Remus.
Of course I know about
Yeah.
this. This is wrong. Yes.
Yeah. So speaking of,
You enjoy this, Matt?
This is it was a joke based
Oh.
off of the
However, speaking of...
Wait, hold on. I'm so sorry. I'm going to tell the weirdest fucking
lay it
most
on us.
awful anecdote you've ever heard about a song in the South. Oh, God. I can't believe I'm actually...
I don't know if you could take me down further
This is,
from...
well, it's nothing to do... It's not directly related to me, but
Podcast, just so you know, I'm not a racist, so I don't have one of those.
My dad was dating this woman. We called her the clicker because she was this very southern woman that would do a lot of like clicking and like...
Okay.
Punctuate a lot of things with
Sure,
it.
sure.
I hated this woman.
Was she a spider?
She was. Well, we're gonna talk about this thing. You know, like this kind of like clucking
I'm just
southern
picturing a woman with
bullshit
mandibles,
things. That's how I picture her. She's a
That's
horrible
racist,
person.
Matt.
But so I was over at their house up in Stewart this one afternoon, and she was talking about we're trying to like sell some old videotapes and things that like they had. I'm like, we're not selling any VHS, guys. It was like 2013, I think. And she goes, well, I have these 3 original copies of Song of the South on VHS. And I was like, guys, I gotta go. I'm gonna leave. I don't want to be part of any of this.
Man.
And she's like, she goes, they're like collector's items. And I was like,
amongst a certain crowd. Yes.
Yeah. And I think she might have been part of that crowd.
They're collector items for people who are like, hey, I have a collection, and they like look at you and they tap the side of their nose. They're like, do you want to see it? Like, do you want to see my collection?
I remember texting my brother and being like, Jesus, dude, I gotta fucking get out of here. I'm gonna die in this. I'm gonna be murdered today. Like, this is very terrible. So
yeah, I've got a collection. And let me ask you though, have you seen Kyle? You know? Was he right over here a minute ago?
Was he right over here?
It was also to see them in like the old clamshell cases, it was just like there was part of the Disney nostalgia of like, oh, it's so great that you kept these old Disney. Oh, not those.
Never mind. It's not great.
Not those ones. Very bad. Very terrible.
I had forgotten about that Song of the South. Ay.
Well, they finally, and there were a bunch of racist idiots that lined up at Disney because they're now changing the Splash Mountain ride to be Princess and the Frog instead of what it used to be, which was Song of the South up until a month ago, 2 months ago, I think.
Took them forever to get the tar baby out of the Splash Mountain exhibit.
It was there, and people picketed because this was Disney going woke. And I'm like,
how dare you take my racism?
Not only that, like, how dare you take my racism after 35 years of running in your park unabated?
You know what? And those people are big fans of For Pete's Sake.
Yeah. They don't know what you're talking about.
No,
that's the bet. Listen, now I don't truck much with that Jewish woman's performance in life. However, she was in a picture, some time ago with the peerless
Estelle
Parsons, who, by the way, we also love. And there was a moment where there was one of them women, you know the type, making a coffee. And I got to tell you, it was a perfect piece of cinema.
There's a moment where the super, his name is Bernie, and he comes to the door and he tells Barbara that he saved her because the management company is asking who asked for their apartments to be painted. And if you asked for your apartment to be painted, the management was going to raise your rent. And so Bernie says to Barbara, so I didn't tell them that you wanted your apartment payment. And Bernie is an African-American gentleman. Okay. And Barbara Streisand goes, Bernie. And she like goes to give him a high five.
Slap me 5, brother.
But like to the side so that it's extra like, oh,
JB, we got to stop this one.
I know.
This is
that's why it's a guilty pleasure.
So I don't have any guilty pleasures, but let me tell you about
the most racist Barbara Streisand. So what was great is that you mentioned how, like, when she talks to the black character, she turns more black. And in my mind, she's just the old woman from Airplane.
I didn't say she turns more black.
No,
I did not say
her way of speaking.
Oh, I speak jive. I'm Barbara Streisand.
Accent.
Of course I speak jive, amongst the other languages.
Well, slap me some slack, Jack.
She didn't even do that. She just
okay, no, we can't. I can't.
So
I can't.
another racist segue, since this is apparently the theme of tonight's show.
This episode's unbearable.
There's an animated TV series called Justice League, and in Justice League, the character Green Lantern, who has been hit many iterations, there's been a few different Green Lanterns. In this cartoon, he was John Stewart, who was a black Marine. And anytime Green Lantern took off his Green Lantern outfit, especially when he was going into his neighborhood, the Justice League animation team was like, all right, he lives in a black neighborhood, so funk music. Every single thing he's doing, funk music, and every new talks to him was like, what's up, John? How you doing, young blood? And I'm like, he like zaps his outfit off, and now he's in like a turtleneck and a black leather jacket and skin tight pants, and the music just goes, from dun 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 Justice League to bow, 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 bow. Welcome to Blackton, everybody.
Oh no.
Guess.
So Matt,
guess
you're not going to use this podcast,
this
right?
has gone
This
way off the
episode's
rails.
unusable. This episode is unusable.
Welcome to Racist Pleasures. This is the New Way podcast.
Let's talk about our Asian fetishes.
We keep things white and right. Up next,
We're now actually sponsored by Tucker Carlson's News Network.
I'm so embarrassed.
I'm listening to all these and I'm looking at my list. I'm like, when do we get to talk about Blades of Glory? I would like to talk about Blades of Glory, perhaps, or maybe Eurotrip, maybe
You asked for guilty pleasures.
Yeah, Miss You've seen the Eurotrip is good, right? There's
You asked us for
offensive.
guilty pleasures, and we delivered.
yeah. I mean, I had Harry and the Hendersons and Con Air. It's same things, right? Same things, really.
First off, Con Air is not a guilty pleasure. Con Air is a work of American cinema.
But it is racist.
Yeah, actually.
It's not. That's the thing about it. It's not racist.
All right. Next person to speak, please. A guilty pleasure that's not racist, which means I cannot say my number one guilty pleasure, which is Adventures in Babysitting, because pretty racist.
Boy.
But
I like the show Midnight Club. That's a little bit guilty pleasure.
I don't know Midnight Club. I'm afraid to ask.
Yes, you do. You mentioned it on your last podcast.
Midnight Club. Oh, Midnight Mass?
No, Midnight Club, where all the teenagers get together and they're all dying of cancer.
Oh, right.
And they tell each other stories on Netflix.
We talked about that in the last podcast?
You mentioned Midnight Club. Yes, you did. You were talking about combining it with something else.
Let's go to the tape.
Oh, it might have been Nick.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
I do. See, that's a good commercial. Also, a slightly racist commercial. But
shit, I can't do anything right.
Just can't. Guys, this is actually turning into a right-wing rally.
I had Armageddon on my list.
The Midnight Club is one of my guilty pleasures. Is I really do enjoy a lengthy drama with teenagers.
Oh,
like have you ever heard of 13 Reasons Why?
Yes.
Like, I love, even though there's nothing happy or good about that show, I get really involved and I get really, like, into the teenage-ish.
Isn't it central theme suicide?
Yes, sir. And they
sure is, Buster.
And they show the whole thing from beginning to end. They show this. It's really disturbing. And Midnight Club is not. Well, it's as dark because it's a bunch of kids with cancer who end up going to a home, and then
I'm laughing already.
And they tell each other ghost stories that are really creative and really weird and really
they're
fun.
about to die, so they're hoping they're going to turn
and
into
they
one.
get drunk while they're doing it.
Oh yeah, they do.
It's actually, that's another guilty pleasure of mine.
JB when she hears like dark teenage drama is just like
I like turtles.
There's like, yeah, I'm in for it. I'm into it.
That's right.
See, I was my guilty one. I actually even put this
What's
on my
ironic,
list.
Matt, is you like Midnight Club too because you mentioned it on your last podcast.
Swear to God,
idiot.
I swear to God, I did not mention it because I've never heard of it before. But
sure.
But Nick or Ben might have mentioned it. I don't remember.
Oh.
He totally mentioned
I'll finish.
I will say no. My guilty teen soap opera drama.
I was about to say, Matt, maybe a white guy shouldn't say my guilty teen pleasure.
First of all, none of those are guilty. No, mine is
not associated.
So
I'm
a lot of people watched Degrassi, the
Sure.
original Degrassi and the new Degrassi, but I grew up on a different show. And I have talked about this on the podcast before, but there was a show called 15 that aired on Nickelodeon, and it was they repurposed this Canadian soap opera starring a young Ryan Reynolds.
Oh boy!
Was Alanis Morissette on it?
She was not, but there
real
were
waste.
a few other actors and actresses. The villain from The Faculty was in it, who had a huge crush on
Robert Patrick.
No, No, the girl that winds up being the main alien in the faculty, the blonde girl that gets very naked in it.
She sure does.
Which I was waiting, at that point, 15 years to see that after watching the show 15. But it was the worst. It was the worst thing, and they repurposed this Canadian soap opera. So then they would try to change some of like the interstitial moments of like things that were on, like instead of showing the Canadian like L train, it would be like something like happening in Chicago, and then they'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm like, I know where they are. I'm not dumb. I think either of these people like are all smelling gas of some kind and are going through like
Look,
a
there's
chain.
the Statue of Liberty.
Don't even bother with that. It was literally just everything was Canadian, and then they just do an exterior shot of like the Twin Towers, and you're like, oh, okay, there we go. We're in New York, I guess.
Let me put on my thinking tube while I look at the Twin Towers.
It was
my thinking tube.
It was a great show.
Here, let's have a sit down on the Chesterfield here in Bronx.
And I will tell you this, of the first of the things we've talked about tonight, not at all racist, because there were no black people in it whatsoever.
God.
I mean, that's a different kind of racist.
At least you understand racism, Matt.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
No, this group really, I think we could solve it if we put our heads together. I'd say, so since we're all talking about teen television shows with which we enjoy a guilty sense of non-romantic or erotic pleasure.
That was some sentence, Patrick.
Just had to layer that out there.
Told you he's intelligent.
Is he?
No, I just know a lot of words. And I can string them together and I never shut up. But I'd say that my biggest one is Riverdale. And now I don't even feel gross about it because they're all clearly in their 20s. But now they're being shot like they're teenagers. But I'm like, that dude, Archie is like 22. He's cut and he's gorgeous and he's got those cum gutters on the sides there. And because he pops his shirt off every 3 seconds. And I'm like, I've read Archie comics since I was 5. Archie is rarely shirtless. If he's at the beach or they're at the lake, he is shirtless. In the Riverdale, like someone's like, oh, you got a ketchup packet. And he's like, where? And he rips his shirt off. But if I look like him without my shirt on, I would never wear a fucking shirt.
Well, that's because in the comics they didn't have the technology to draw all that ginger chest hair.
Well, I mean, no, you've never seen the show. He's hairless. Right? He is a naked ginger seal.
I have never met a hairless ginger in my life.
No,
I call
we
shenanigans on this.
And and just every single episode is someone getting it. Like Betty has like a whole weird dom episode where she's like exploring her sexual dominatrix side and like starts to drown a dude in a jacuzzi.
Betties are fucking weird.
Betties are fucking weird.
Is Betty or Veronica hotter in the show?
That's subjective, man. But yes, no.
I've always been a Betty guy. So in the comics, I was a Betty guy.
In the show, Veronica in the show is like part like Spanish and Italian. She's like this little exotic minx. Yeah, dude.
Veronica?
Yeah.
I always thought Betty was the more
psychotic.
Unique. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, Betty is in the whole.
Isn't Veronica just like a normal redheaded chick in the comics?
Have you read Archie comics? Veronica has black hair, sir.
Oh, maybe I got them confused.
Betty is blonde. Archie is the only redhead person in town, aside from his mom, who in the show I think is dead. I can't remember.
His mom. Oh,
no,
so his
Betty's
mom's
are
not
good.
hot.
And then his dad was Luke Perry until he died.
That's sad.
That is a bummer. And then the guy who plays Jughead is now a sex icon for girls who have a lot of problems.
So girls?
His name is Cole Sprouse, and I think he's non-binary now.
Isn't he one of the twins that used to be in the
Sweet Life of Zach and Cody?
Yeah, Big Daddy, and he was one of the kids on Friends. He was Ross's kid.
Yes,
they were
same
twins.
kid.
Yeah,
Zach and Cody.
Wow,
I did not know that.
So only one of them went on to be like famous actor, and the other one was just like.
I actually don't know. I just know Sweet Life of Zach and Cody from Babysitting.
Yeah, they were like the Olsen, like the male Olsen twins.
Yes, they were.
But apparently one of them has branched off, and the other one's dead.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, one of them was in a horror movie with Jennifer Lopez and had all kinds of sex scenes. And, yeah, one of
in the
them's doing really
show,
well.
also Jughead's life is different. He's like a latchkey kid, and his dad is like part of a biker gang. They took the names from Archie comics, and they're like, that's all we need. We'll take care of everything else.
everyone likes to do the gritty reboot of like all of these different properties and be like, yeah, we're gonna do Archie, but we'll make it real. We're gonna make these kids
like,
real.
I just want to be in the writer's room where they're like, all right, do you guys remember Dylan, the nerdy kid? What if he was a survivalist right-wing school shooter? And they're like, brilliant, write it up. So I think Moose is gay. A bunch of stuff happens in this show.
What guilty property from our childhood can we do a gritty reboot of and make? I mean, they did that with Fresh Prince. They made like a legit.
Yeah, my
like,
brother loves that
show
show.
off of that.
My brother loves that show.
I've heard that some regional theaters, and they call it, if you're a professional actor, they call regional theater kind of one of those gigs that's like 6 weeks long and you get paid like $500 a week. But a lot of regional theaters have tried to reimagine Annie in a really dark, like it opens with her singing maybe in an orphanage, but like in a corner with like just a tattered nightgown, and she's rocking back and forth while she's singing it. And like Miss Hannigan is not at all like cute or sexy in any way. She's like this horrendous, horrible monster.
I like that.
Daddy War.
No, this has been done. Regionally.
No. I want to go back.
Warbucks has a very disturbing relationship with Annie.
Well,
I mean, he's definitely banging his secretary, which has always been problematic. In the
Right.
show. I would like to go back to the
and Punjab.
Yes. I want to go back to the Miss Hannigan's not sexy. What Annie's is?
Duh. Did you ever see freaking the movie with Carol Burnett? Smoke show.
The pantyhose always disturbed me, and the bathtub full of gin. It was very. These are
obviously you have bad taste in women.
I'm confusing what I find hot.
Yeah, no, I'm with JB. Give me Carol Burnett and a tub full of gin any day of the week. I'm drinking gin right now, and if Carol Burnett was in this drink, I would suck her dry.
Funny and caustic. Like, come on.
I was more into Lily St. Regis with Bernadette.
She's a dirty whore. She brings nothing to the
I do
story.
love dirty whores, though.
One of them is abusing orphans, and the other one's just dumb and hot. I think mine's fine too.
She tries to kill Annie at the end. Excuse me, Matthew.
Well,
That's
not in the show. In the movie, but that's different.
We're talking. Carol
The
Burnett
movie
wasn't
is
in
real.
the fucking stage thing that I saw. I saw Carol Burnett in the movie.
I mean, listen, I did watch that movie obsessively as a child.
Exactly.
So,
The movie is real.
But I was also very, very unnerved by Miss Hannigan. It's very jarring to me to hear anyone be like, oh yeah, that was my first thing. Because I was terrified of her, and not in the fun way at all.
She should have won an Academy Award for that.
She's great. I mean, her little girls, the way the way she says even girls in the back of her throat is fucking funny as hell. I love that performance, but not sexy is not
and Matt,
any close to the 50 words I would put.
I like it
near her
when she
performance.
calls Anne Ranking, "Hello, my little scissor legs."
I also
Anne Ranking also hot in that movie.
I also associate fear and sex, so I'm right there with you. I know how that goes.
Yes, I am afraid of sex.
And who wouldn't be? Now, audience listening to this podcast, I think you guys should comment that you want to see Matt sing "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow."
No.
Yeah. I think
of
the
all
audience
of the
wants
things
that.
in there, no.
No, that's exactly what your audience wants. And
I'll
I
only
believe-
sing the FDR portions of it.
Aw, that's sweet.
Is it? Okay. All right. So let's somewhat go back on track. Annie is actually a pretty guilty pleasure
Ryan
for me, by the
hates
way.
us. Ryan is like, what is the point?
Ryan, again, this is racist guilty pleasures. Number one.
Racist teenage guilty pleasures.
We didn't mean to go down the racist route, but
it happens. You know, it's a podcast. It's three white people podcasting. It's bound to happen.
I
just
took
by
the
accident.
guilty part like really seriously.
Like you could be arrested for watching these
Yeah.
things.
More like hate, more than guilt, like
So-
a hate pleasure.
So, Patrick, I do want to ask. We did bring this up, and I don't want to talk about. We do have somewhat of a secret project that we are working on revolving this property, and I kind of want this to be a surprise for our guests, for our listeners. But I do consider very much so Con Air to be a fantastically fun and knows what it is movie, but it is very much firmly rooted in guilty pleasure for me.
Incorrect.
It's
Go ahead.
okay. All right. So I would like to hear your take on it not being guilty.
So the reason that it's not guilty is because when you look at Con Air, what you're looking at is Nick Cage's late 90s appearances where he was in the height of his action phase. So we're talking about The Rock, Con Air, Face Off, right? 3 of his biggest pictures, 3 of his biggest properties. And also what you're looking at is right before things started to go kind of south for him. So this is Nick Cage feeling at his most confident, at his most just, I'm such an actor. And I am someone who has watched almost all of his properties.
You are actively in a thing with your brother where you're watching every Nick Cage movie.
Including, we just finished Birdie, which if you've never seen Birdie, don't. You
Matthew
don't have
Modine.
To.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
I was a pay cable kid as a child, so I watched anything that was on HBO, and that was on HBO a lot, oddly enough.
Birdie was on there. Now, Birdie is not as bad as Rumblefish, because nothing is as bad as Rumblefish. But the reason I don't find Con Air to be a guilty pleasure is because when you go into action movies, you're going in knowing exactly what you're getting. If Con Air was sold to me as a crime drama thriller, then I'd be like, okay, this is a little dumb, this is a little campy, I get it. But it wasn't. Con Air was sold in ads with flaming planes.
Sure.
Crashing onto the Las Vegas Strip. And then a star-studded cast all playing like 90s video game bad guys. Like they had this Diamond Dog and Cyrus the Virus.
The introductions is pretty great.
The introduction part is one of the best introduction sections of a movie in the history of introductions.
Agreed.
So I don't see it as guilty pleasure because when you're going into the genre knowing exactly what you're looking for, you shouldn't feel guilty about that. If you're going in watching Con Air because you're like, I want to watch a fucking action movie.
Sure.
It delivers on every single note. It is a perennial action film. It's an action film that gives other action films an example of how to do it. Your hero is downtrodden in the beginning. He has a cool friend who is weaker than him physically and also a different race.
Yeah.
You have characters that you can kill off right away and you make them vile. Danny Trejo is a famous rapist. Of course he's going to get killed.
So question for you, because we've covered, I believe I covered Con Air in my original Guilty Pleasures podcast, and we have done action movies in podcasts as well. Do you feel there is a sliding scale? So for something like, I am a huge fan of Armageddon, mostly because I think it's one of the greatest commentary tracks, and we've talked about this a gazillion times on the episode, but literally listen to that commentary track tonight. It is one of the funniest things you will ever hear.
Is it really?
It's a drunk Ben Affleck bitching about the movie and being like, this movie makes no sense, and like, it's fucking amazing.
He's ragging on his parts as soon as he shows up on screen.
He's so
like, oh,
great.
here's this fucking asshole.
It's so amazing. But like, I consider like Con Air, I think they're in the same level for me, that they're written so broadly and so silly, and they're like Looney Tunes cartoons.
Yeah.
So I still do. I feel not that I'm like a cinephile, too much of a cinephile, but like I
You're
do
as
feel
close
somewhat.
as someone gets to a cinephile without calling themselves that.
Like but I do feel like when I throw on Con Air, I'm in a certain mood and I'm in a certain mind, and I'm like, you know what? I could see this isn't, I'm not watching whatever, like something else I could be. Look, versus like, I think the Fast and Furious movies are garbage. Sorry, Ryan. I know that you're gonna be very upset with hearing that, because Ryan's about
already
family.
mad. He's already mad.
He's definitely tuned out.
We'll circle back around to racist to bring him back in.
He does enjoy that, but none of this bashing of Fast and Furious. I've only seen one Fast and Furious movie.
Oh, it's a shame.
Admittedly,
you should watch more of them.
Now, I will say my viewing experience for it. Oh, and this is absolutely a guilty pleasure. This is the dumbest reason to go see a movie, and I had the most fun. And I had so much fun. I've been trying to find out what the next movie I can do in this experience to be as good. But I went to they call it D-Box, which is funny.
Love D-Box.
But it's the immersive seats move and vibrate and do things.
Totally.
And so my
it
brother
blows air on you and
yes.
stuff.
So my brother's a big fan of the Fast and Furious movies. So he and I went to go see Fast 5, which is the only one I have seen in the theaters, and I watched it in Rumble Vision, as I called it. And two amazing things happened. One, we got our tickets, we're sitting in this row, and there's this guy in front of us that was like very squirrely and concerned about the seats. Like from the moment of sitting down, and we haven't even gotten to previews yet. And he's just like, and then he goes up and he like goes to an employee and asks them some questions. And he comes back to the seat and he's just like, he's not sure that maybe the Rumble Vision's right for him. And so the previews come on, and the previews kind of rumble a little bit, and he's just like, I don't know. And then they give a thing, and it's like, how to use your Rumble seat. Like hit the plus button if you would like a more intense experience, or hit the minus. And he's like, just minus as much as he can. So the opening in the movie it's cars. There are car chases. So it's a lot of like rumbling and seats moving a little bit.
It's all about the family though.
This guy makes it about 70 seconds into it. And he's just going, he's in there like in a car, and he's like, no.
Why did someone with sensory processing disorder get that ticket?
He just eventually leaps out of his chair and runs to one of the non-moving seats and then watches the rest of the movie. He paid like $20 or whatever for it. I loved it. I loved that the fight scenes, you get like little vibrations in your back for it. Otherwise, I thought it was a terrible movie, and I wouldn't revisit it. So I guess that would be more guilty to me than Con Air, which I think is phenomenally fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
I will tell you my attachment to Con Air, which is Matt. Talk about guilty pleasures. Matt does a thing with our group of friends where he has everybody come over to his house, not apartment, and they can play a favorite musical of theirs, and everyone is expected to sit around and watch and listen to the musical.
I never do. I never will.
Patrick and I would rather eat glass. And so what happens is it becomes certain people's turn. So in other words, it's Marcy's turn, so we're going to watch Fiddler or whatever, or 9 to 5 or whatever.
It's Elizabeth's turn, so we're going to watch something with a lot of confused sexuality.
Right. And then what's happening now is it's Patrick's turn, and Patrick will not have it with the musicals, just like me.
I refuse.
And so we're watching Con Air. And this is why I love Con Air, because I will not have to watch a musical. And I know nothing about Con Air. I don't give a shit about Con Air, but I know that it's not a musical. And I am excited to sit and watch
I'm going to say, I have a feeling. So, Patrick, you tell me your thought. I think JB's going to like Con Air.
I think so, too, honestly.
Yeah.
You and I have had a lot of similar tastes in films before. I think you'll appreciate
it. We both hate musicals.
We both hate musicals. We both love and honor Nicolas Cage, one of America's greatest actors.
And this could be a debate. Is Con Hair the best Nick Cage hair in a Nick Cage movie?
Hair, yes.
That is
deep.
and he has a lot of hairstyles in different movies.
That is so heavy.
Honestly, the closest I would say yes unequivocally, except for his most recent picture, Renfield, where he finally got to play a character he's wanted to play since he was 18 years old. He got to play Dracula.
Did he wear a wig?
Yeah.
Cool.
First of all, he's never not worn a wig.
No, I know.
He also had his teeth filed so he could get the Dracula teeth that they wanted.
I do want to warn you, Patrick. You have said the D word twice now. If you say it a third time, Elizabeth will materialize in the room. So I just want you to be careful of just talk about he plays a certain vampire.
He plays a well-known Count of Transylvania
that you can learn more about in a email series, apparently, which is kind of definitely
in the disturbing project.
That motherfucker is saying in the press that he had his teeth filed. There's no way.
Not him saying it. Someone else on the set said it.
Patrick, you pansy.
Two different sources.
Believing the hype.
Two different sources.
Patrick, you ignorant slut.
That's why I keep a computer in my pocket.
He's going to go to the internet and he's going to prove you wrong.
I'm going to cite my references.
I don't care if it's Barbara Walters came back from the dead and said it.
It was an interview with Betty Buckley, and she was saying these new actors today filing down their teeth.
I love you, Nick.
Ooh, well, it is funny we do talk about the guilty pleasure.
Film's makeup artist Christian Tinsley revealed Cage trimmed his teeth and wore 3D printed dentures.
Christian Tinsley is a known liar.
You know what? Christian Tinsley is probably not white, and you're racist. So that's. That's where this is stemming
I'm going to
from.
say that the name Christian Tinsley has never once been spoken other than the time they're like, fuck, what if I tell them that like Nick Cage filed his teeth down? Maybe I'll get some press. And that made it big.
Exactly.
And by big, I mean they were mentioned once on this podcast.
All right.
That may or may
I
not
was
ever
wrong.
air.
Christian Tinsley is white, but he
better
also
not air.
he's also won some Emmy awards for his makeup.
Matt, I mean, what's your name? That's enough. Nobody cares.
What other stuff did he do? I'm in his IMDb now.
I do like the deep dive on IMDb.
Me too.
During that's why I always have it. I have it pulled up on my screen right now. But
He did
Matt,
the
what were
effects
you
for
gonna say
the
about,
Ballad of Buster Scruggs. That was a good one.
that is a good movie.
Lies.
I was going to say that one of the things I literally just put on my guilty pleasures was musicals. Because I do feel, I understand the absurdity of musicals and especially movie musicals, which I also am I super love. But I just, there's something about the medium, and it was not instantaneous for me. It took me a while. I think it was not really until I was doing them on stage that I really... Other than like, I mean, I loved Annie and Wizard of Oz when I was a kid.
Right.
Like those, I liked those because those felt like fantasies to me. Versus like,
I agree.
It's weird when you get the gritty musicals and stuff. But I don't know. It's always been that weird kind of fun, dumb thing that I like, and I recognize that they're
Here's
dumb.
my thing with a musical, Matt, and this is the example I always use. So forgive me for anyone who's heard it, but. And not all musicals are like this, but
all musicals.
But the majority of them are. If you look at Les Mis, okay, a very successful musical, very well loved, very overdone.
It's
very
8.5 hours long.
Okay, when the bitch Eponine sings "On My Own," end of song, curtain, the end. She doesn't say anything else for the rest of the next 6 minutes except "On My Own." That's all she fucking says. When Fontaine says, "I dreamed a dream in time gone by," good, we get it. You're good. Okay.
You got
thanks.
a dream. You're in a well. Next song.
That's what I'm saying.
Master of the House. Oh, it's a joke song. Love it. Next.
Not all musicals are like that. In fact, no Sondheim musical is like that. His musicals move with the song.
He wasn't built for power. He was built for speed.
When Lori in Oklahoma is like, "Plenty a new day." Okay, good. We get it. Like, the end.
That's another one I've never seen.
8-0 Annie. I can't say no. We get it. Good. You're a slut. The end.
Yeah.
Like, my problem with a musical is the story stops when someone starts singing.
Sure. And honestly, I completely agree with that. And most of the examples you gave are ones that I don't necessarily love. Les Mis is funny. So that was a show that I saw that with Nick because Ben and Beth had to... They had tickets and they couldn't use them.
Had to not see Les Mis. They were very busy that night.
I knew the music very well. I'd seen some of the concert stuff.
Sure.
I'd seen the movie, but I'd never actually gone to see a production of it. And the lyrics are shitty. It's about music. If you've got Nick has said this and I agree. If you have a good Javert, that makes or breaks your show. Like it really,
I
like
agree.
a great Javert is just powerful.
But even with a great Javert, when Eponine says "On My Own," we get it. We're good.
I get it. I do. I really do. I think that, and obviously there are good examples, bad examples, and the same as any genre. The same as reality TV. There's good examples.
The first live production I saw of Les Mis, I fell asleep for an hour and a half.
And you didn't miss a damn thing.
So you got to where he stole the bread.
Exactly.
Like, shit.
No, I get that I'm in the minority and that musicals obviously work for...
You're not in the minority. I think you're more in the mid-range of it. I think there's lots of people that are not into that medium.
I've sat through them on Broadway, and I just find myself zoning out when a song starts.
See, I don't think she is in the mid-level even, because look at what makes money on Broadway. Like, shows go on for 45 years because they're fucking musicals. Every regional theater production makes its nut off musicals.
That's very true.
Yeah, but those name the ones that actually make it, that make the money and do the stuff. It is not, and especially right now, it's suffering pretty bad in terms of getting enough people to show up. Shows are closing left and right. Yeah. Some of them will get some name, like Beetlejuice is going to run on name recognition. It's going to be able to tour, but it closed on Broadway. Like it's a weird medium, mainly also because it's so expensive. Like it's cost prohibitive for the average person to go, especially if they're not really into it. I'm sure there's like a lot of like JBs and dudes getting dragged to musicals with someone that's really into it. It's like, Jesus Christ, we just dropped fucking $500 on this, and we could have gone on a trip.
So we dropped $500 so I can see that kid's gay and he's like upset about it.
Yeah, when I went to see Hamilton, my sister-in-law spent $2,100 for three of us to see that show. I mean, it was great. It was wonderful, but my God. You know,
I get it. You rap, and they're supposed to be white guys, and so they're rapping, and so
hot take in this room. Not into Hamilton with a bunch of those other people.
I love Hamilton.
I'm just saying from our pedigree this episode, like I don't like that they made Alexander Hamilton a Latino man.
Hamilton is a work of art. There's no question about it. But is it worth one person sitting down for $700?
No, not at all.
You know.
No, I completely.
Lin-Manuel would have to finish me off,
and he'll do it. He's been known to do it.
Allegedly.
For $700. No, not allegedly. For $700, Lin-Manuel Miranda would have to suck my penis to completion.
Wait.
In between acts.
All right, Patrick. All right, here's the scenario. It's an $800 ticket to Hamilton.
So it's obviously fantasy. You've got
$800 ticket to Hamilton.
No, they exist.
No, I don't have $800.
But we'll just wait. So you get to go see original cast Hamilton.
Okay.
You've got amazing seats. Betty Buckley is sat next to you and will not only jerk you off while it's happening, but she'll complain about how much she does not like what's going on stage the entire time.
But I get to finish?
Yes. Of course.
Now, is it a dry job, or is she going to get a little spit on there?
She's going to make it, she's going to give it the same care she's given most of her roles in the last 10 years.
So she's going to make it rain. She's going to get it wet.
She's going to try real hard.
As long as Daddy gets his dedubbed by BB, then I can enjoy Big H.
I mean, listen, the main allure is she is going to complain fabulously about the show. She's going to tell you
around my
how she would have been a better Aaron Burr the entire time, and that's going to make you finish the first time.
And listen, if she works the balls, I'll say not only has she been a better Burr, she should have written his songs.
Patrick, her mechanics are not going to be good. This is all about the show you're going to get. You're going to hear the worst Broadway tea you've ever heard in your life, but it's going to be so delicious. You're like, I'm into it. I got this.
Listen, first off, age ain't nothing but a number when it comes to someone being older than me. Being younger, age is a very serious number. But when it comes to someone older, if she's about it, I'm about it.
How old is she now?
Who? Now I've gotten scared.
Betty Buckley, the woman who's going to jerk me off at Lin-Manuel Miranda's Hamilton.
Listen, if this is the sound,
if this makes it to Betty Buckley, then Betty Buckley, this is me and Patrick Price saying, I hope you actually jerk me off. All you have to do is a Google
alert. That's all you have to do.
If this is the soundbite that takes down the new way, I'm so there for it. I can't express how amazing that would be.
If this is the soundbite that gets Matt a cease and desist letter from my future sex partner, Betty Buckley.
Do you know that I will bring that cease and desist letter to every audition I ever do for the rest of life?
Because you'll get cast. You'll get cast every time. But she's allegedly in her late 60s and allegedly looks like she's in her early 80s.
She is not in her late 60s.
Yes, she is.
Only in her late 60s?
Yeah. Yep. July 3rd is her birthday.
Isn't Grisabella like 1 billion years ago?
Well, yeah. Hence the late 60s.
I would have pegged her in like...
Oh, you thought she was older?
Yeah, I thought she was older.
Well, no, she would have pegged you.
That's the $900 Hamilton ticket.
It's their big ass Hamilton themed strap on.
You got to do that at intermission. You can't do that in this. You can't do that in the seats.
Oh my
Look,
God.
they're stealing the cannons from uptown. She was like, I got one right here.
I'm going to get an email tomorrow that says, what's
on.
Patrick Price's home address?
What's funnier is this is not the most controversial thing Patrick Price has said today. I quote, earlier today, Patrick Price said, Pocahontas was white, too. So
a little background, audience.
No, that's all you need to know. It was a real controversial take, and he'll be writing about it more in his book, Pocahontas Was Also White, which will be coming out in... somewhere,
2 weeks.
You can find it on
it's an ebook on Amazon.
On Truth Social.
No, I think it's important for people to know that I have a wide range as an actor. Okay, I have played a lot of roles in my 20+ years of acting, and one of them, I was in 5th grade. I was rightfully and correctly cast as Pocahontas' father, who I think we called like Big Chief something because we're in 5th grade, and I was cast as him because I am tall, and a father is tall. So obviously I, someone white enough to light the beacons for Gondor, would be cast as a Native American authority figure wearing a headdress and leather fringe and moccasins. And I think I had a bow and arrow.
Holy cow.
And my daughter, who's also white, was Pocahontas.
God help us.
I think one of the only people who wasn't white might have been one of the pioneers or explorers. I think he was a Spanish kid.
So Matt, you're not going to share this podcast, right?
Well, I had my own flirtation with the playing a Native American as well. My senior year of high school.
I can tell you and I have a similar tone.
You guys thought the Barbra Streisand movie was bad.
This is worse.
Well, I didn't have a say in the matter here.
I know I didn't. So this was a play that was written by a teacher at our school, where he took some of these like tales that existed called Sam McGee from Tennessee, and I played Big Chief something. And I had to recite some of these poems, like Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the wind is bump and bum, and then I had to come out in a full, very, very not accurate and very terrible Native American costume. And then there were girls cast that were like really into the Native American chieftain, and they were like all rubbing up, and I was like, I don't even do like this is 1997. I knew it was wrong. I just didn't know what to do. I was like, I was casting a thing. You do the shows that you do.
You
at your
do the
school.
roles you got.
But it's that recent that stuff like that was.
I mean,
bad.
that's 25 years, but
still, that's too recent.
It was. I mean,
What year was I in 5th grade?
The quickness where you're like, I don't think this is okay.
This is okay, yeah.
But you're like, it's a gig. I got a gig.
Actually, I think mine might have been around 96, 97 for my appearance as the Big Chief Wamapoke.
Maybe that was the year. That's the year that you get all these.
That's the
terrible
year
costumes.
of heavy-set white guys playing Native American
Hey, listen,
chiefs.
we just can't run for office. That's all there is to it.
No,
So,
not based on what we've said about
no.
Actually, based on America lately, we'd get elected right away with certain parties.
See, don't worry. This podcast will never air, but I will blackmail both of you with it for forever.
I don't
to come.
blame you. I don't blame you.
No, this will air. I think there's nothing that we said that was out of school.
Everything's been true.
I don't
it's
think
just
there's
unfortunate
anything. Yes,
truths.
This is correct. And it's also the new way. We have done. Lest I remind our listeners, we did the Werner Herzog trivia episode.
You always say that, and it amazes me.
It is. I have to give credit to, and there's a debate about which was first. It was either Nick or Ryan or a combination that came up with Werner Herzog as the title for it, which that kind of makes it sound better than it maybe was. But if you want, listen, it exists out there. You guys can go listen to that episode. But I think we're going to call this one for right now. I want to thank our guests, Patrick and JB, for joining tonight.
I just want to point out real quick,
Yes.
in addition to racism, he also has a big poster of Harry Potter, so this podcast also supports transphobia. So now we've got that covered, too.
Okay, great.
We've got all the bases covered.
Nick just woke up. Thanks, Patrick. That's great.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, Nick. Nick Gay.
Betty Buckley
There's
sucks.
Betty Buckley sucks this dick.
Literally right next to me, Patrick, are 20 Harry Potter wands.
Oh, yeah. No, that'll do it.
What would normally have pencils and pens in it for a normal desk, I just have wands back there.
I've never been more proud.
That paid for like 10 of J.K. Rowling's shirt that say women have tits or something.
Oh, no, they did. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to The New Way. We'll back with new episodes all summer long. We don't know how many or when they'll happen, but we're going to get to as many as we possibly can.
It's a surprise.
Not
It's a
anymore
surprise.
with Patrick and JB.
Patrick and JB.
We'll actually be back next week.
We're going to bring back JB and Elizabeth, and maybe Elizabeth and Patrick, but it seems to be the combination of JB and Patrick has been problematic, according to our...
You're not the first to say that.
Yeah, it's funny. The episode hasn't aired, but the feedback already is just very, very angry from our listeners. So
I just hope we don't get blacklisted for stuff again.
Oh, don't use that term. Anyway, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you soon, and we say it together. Cheers.